Welcome back, PGL Tavern 2016 in Bucharest with me, Raven, as usual, and XXO as the guest here today. We don't see you often casting, so it's a treat for the viewers, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know Hoej decks and he might have some surprises.
Okay, so we'll have some insider info, and we have the last match for the day. This is the decider again between AKAWonder and Hoej. Hoej just won against Gara with a decisive 3-0 with his Malagos Druid, while AKAWonder lost to Life Coach. Well, he lost to a priest.
Yeah,
How that
it's
sounds,
never
right?
going to feel good, is it? It's never going to feel good. But yeah, we just obviously watched Hoy play the previous match, and I think he even said like he struggled a little bit with the deck because he likes to take a lot of time thinking about his turn before he starts it, and then he got sort of punished a few times by the rope a little bit on the back end of those games. Obviously, it's been quite a long day for everyone as well, so definitely not helping. But he's had a nice little break now to just sort of refresh himself and sort of get his head back in the game and just go into it a bit more fresh versus AKAWonder here.
Well, I'm really curious about the bans that we'll see here with those two players because they play some unorthodox decks, right? Especially AKAWonder with his greedy Contra Warrior, an example,
And his Reno lock, right? He's playing Reno, I believe.
Arena Lock that is really greedy with both Alexstrasza Jaraxxus, but also Curator with Corrupted Seer. So there are some really weird choices. What do you think about those cards?
I mean, he wants to play Curator, obviously that's why he plays the Murloc, but like we saw him lose the game against Priest because he didn't throw any AoE, even though he had one more. So it's like, in those matchups he wants Reno Lock for, it seems good to have more area of effective stuff, so having one more 2 damage AoE might be good.
We're not sure if it actually plays the Corrupted Seer as an addition, or is it replacing, like an example, a Twisting Nether, right? We don't have that info yet. We didn't see the Twisting Nether at all in multiple games. So
Yeah, I would really struggle to warrant putting the Seer in over another AoE. I feel like the AoE Reno lock has is needed because obviously you can only run one of. So I would definitely struggle with that, but we'll maybe get to see it from AKAWonder now. But
for sure.
We also saw him play Power Overwhelming, 2 copies of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, Power Overwhelming isn't that great. It's like, it shows that he was struggling finding the last card. He like didn't like any 30s card, so he went with the second Power Overwhelming. So I don't think he cuts Twisting Nether if he plays 2 powers.
Okay, well, playing two POs is kind of detrimental to the idea of Reno Jackson in general, right? So, and because of that fact, he was pushed to keep one of his POs in his opening hand, even though it wasn't a good decision in a specific matchup.
I mean, it was against Rogue, and it wasn't that bad because you do threaten to Savannah's PO against the Concealed Auctioneer.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can definitely find some uses for it, but it looks like the guys are already starting with Hoy, starting with his Druid versus AKAWonder's Reno lock, so we've been talking about.
Yep. So take it away, guys. We'll start with, as you said, Warlock versus Druid, and it seems like a good opening hand for. Well, okay, good, and decent because there's an innervate, so it's a decent opening hand.
It's always
for the
good
Druid.
if there's an innervate, right?
If there's an innervate, the things might fall into place, and yeah, might go off, right? But for AKAWonder, this opening hand, well, doesn't look great, but it's not like he needs to be fast in this matchup, right? Unless there will be double innervate to something really silly.
Yeah, time's definitely something you should have, and already just having the Twilight Drake available is kind of nice, kind of awkward for the Druid to deal with going forward. But how do you, I'll be honest, I haven't really played this matchup specifically too much myself. How do you think it goes? You've played a lot of this Druid deck, so I imagine you've ran into a couple of Renos now and again.
Yes, I think when Whisper of the Old Gods got released, the matchup was actually not that good for Druid because Druid at that point played big minions like Kasun or some Ram Druid, and like Greenlock could remove them and then just like outlast them, have more cards. But since now you have more bursts, more tokens than Druid, and like now Maligos, I think the matchup has been becoming so much worse for Reno. That's like a big uphill battle. And so like we see him have the Leroy OTK with double power overwhelming, but I don't see him ever get to that against Druid. Like he will have to use his power overwhelming as removal, and even for that he needs to like get a board first to PO a minion. So yeah, gave Druid here like a big edge.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult as well because, as you mentioned, the whole the Malagos package of being able to burst your opponent sort of plays with the Reno Warlock's life total, right? If the Reno's around 20, you're always going to be a little bit afraid, and you never really want a Reno on 20 anyway to feel safe. So
they only have like obviously only play one off besides like he plays second power, but other than that, he might have a big game hunter, he might have a Siphon Storm, he might have Twisting Nether, but that's only 3 hard removals he has in the deck. So like, there were already 2 Giants and 1 Maligos. So it's like, if you play a Giant, he removes it. You play a second Giant, he has to remove it because he can just take 8 damage a turn. Then just like drop Maligos, and the chance he has a third removal is not
Very
that high.
slim. And as well, we can see that the Moonglade portal in Hoy's hand, even the Moonglade portal can put out a decent threat that requires a pretty strong answer from the Reno lock as well. So, as you said, there's multiple huge minions you can play in this deck. And is Reno going to have the removal required? We're going to find out.
Yeah, you don't like to play Paul just for 6-drop, like just playing a 6-drop deck would be better, but you want to play it for the matchup where you need the heal and just have to go for it. But that's actually a very interesting one because it will pull York if it doesn't die now.
Yeah, that's kind of nuts, actually, isn't it? It's going to force like almost guaranteed trade because I don't think you can just allow this minion to just give Hoy Yogg just so he knows it's already there.
I don't think it's that bad because like you expect your opponent to draw Yogg anyway at some point. It's not like you need to keep him from drawing it. So it's like, it's just a card draw basically. And there's a chance he already has Yogg on hand, then it doesn't do anything. So I think that it's not that big of a threat. The issue is just that his other plays are really bad. Like playing an Azotrak against a 4-6, like
yeah, I was going to say
his
Demon Wrath made that trade very easy, so it wasn't too bad. Do you think he, was going to be OTT on playing the Doomsayer as well, or do you think he just really wants to blank out at turn 7? Because I don't think, I think we've seen Hoy play Ancient of Wars. You'll probably be able to confirm that more than me.
I mean, I don't want to spoil
yeah,
his deck, but
I'm not sure if we've seen it on stream. Something's telling me we have, but I've cast a lot of Druid today, so we'll see if we see.
The usual Maligos Druid doesn't play it.
Yeah. So we will find out at some point, I imagine. But the Doomsayers are almost certainly going to lock out too much of this turn, as I think that guarding a 3-1 isn't really going to change too much for the Druid here. So you'd have to commit like a swipe, and you could swipe Wrath, I guess.
No, you don't do that. The question is just if you want to cycle your Wrath here.
Yeah,
like,
and just
he has the Auctioneer, which is nice with Wrath later on, but he doesn't really have a play. Like, you expect your opponent to play Emperor next turn, then you have to like play your whole turn to remove it because you have no minion to go with it. So I guess you save the rest, cycle the next turn, maybe get like a Innervate or like.
Yeah, you have plenty of removal available to Hoy anyway, and AKAWonder's got a few options here, but Emperor definitely looks like the best one. It's not really hitting the Leroy or the PO or anything, which is always nice to be able to just squeeze in a bit more extra damage, because I believe we saw Faceless as well in AKAWonder's deck for like the big burst combo. Yeah, so he's not hitting any of those key cards, but feels like too good of a turn not to do, and again, his other options weren't exactly fantastic.
Yeah, Druid used to have no real hard removal, now they have York, which is basically a hard removal.
As well as many other things.
Still, since it's the only real hard removal, you don't really need to wait for an OTK or anything against Druid, you just need to win the board. So getting all your mid-range minions reduced is pretty good against Druid.
Yep, Hoy's just going to clear up the Emperor now with the swipe and the Wrath. And already, Hoy putting AKAWonder on 18 this early. He's starting to pile up that pressure now, and we are edging towards Hoy having the mana to be able to play Malygos in some form of burst. It's unlikely that he has all of the bursts, like the double Moonfire and the Living Roots at this point in the game, but it's something AKAWonder has to consider because he could have it and it could just end the game out of nowhere.
And we see AKAWonder throw like 2 really huge cards because Alex Weather allows him to coin Alex Weather next turn, get an 8/8 on the board and get like really big pressure. He also Hoy knows that there are so many cards reduced that he might expect already a Leroy combo, even though it's not there. So Alex Weather being a really good play for next turn and picking up the Power of Overwhelming, which activates the Reno.
Yeah, and the Soulfire pick from the Peddler as well. So, dual Scarab in this deck. Okay, so there's a lot of options in Reno lock. Obviously, you're only running one ofs unless you're AKAWonder and you run 2 Power Overwhelmings. But Scarab not a super common pick in a lot of Reno locks, I feel. So definitely an AKAWonder
I've seen it before in this deck, but I don't really understand it because.
What 3 mana cards are you really looking for?
I mean, my point is just 2 mana to a card. Can Warlock do that differently somehow?
Yeah, it's I don't know. We'll see how it turns out for him. But Foul Rage looks like it's going to be the option here for Hoy to clear off this Azure Drake. Oh, no. Is he just going to go face? At this point, he does have Malygos, Living Roots, and Moonfire next turn to just finish up the game. If AKAWonder doesn't heal, but obviously if you try and overcommit into that and the Reno comes down, it spells a few more problems for Hoy.
Yeah, he knows that there are 2 POs, so there's always a chance that the Reno isn't activated even if he drew it yet. So like the chances of AKAWonder throwing Reno and one of the power overwhelmings at this point is like maybe around 50-50. So you could go for like the around 50% chance to just win next turn.
Would you go for this 6-0?
I'm biased. I saw the hand. I saw how it played out. I don't really know.
Forget about the hand.
I don't really know what read Hoej could have made to this point. Like I didn't focus on Hoej's read, so I can't really tell. But since his hand is pretty decent, he still has the auctioneer. He probably thinks he wants to go for the long game.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot of resources. He's got Cycle, he's got the 2 Giants in hand as well, which, as you mentioned earlier, both Giants plus Malygos are suddenly, you know, almost too many threats for the Reno Lock to deal with. So definitely got enough juice to take this to the long game, and it's going to be how AKAWonder decides to react here.
I
As
don't
you said,
think
he can coin Alex Straza, which is just...
Yeah, I don't see any other play. Like it's just so big. You give the opponent to 13
might get that
HP.
Jeweled Scarab for a card that changes the entire game. I don't know. Oh, he's gonna go for it.
Wait, what? I don't understand.
That was almost like a joke on my end, but I'm just a prophet. I'm just a prophet instead.
He wants to play Reno, I guess. He's scared of OTK. Okay, I can see that. He's scared of Malygos killing him next turn. That's why he doesn't want to Alex Trezor here.
And this is the kind of threat that this Druid deck can provide a lot of the time. Is 16, you know, you would require at least a decent, you know, sum of getting those cards early enough in this game to be able to just kill your opponent. And he's gone for the Owl.
Yeah.
Not bad to just have a silence available.
Yeah, he has to coin first because he has 10 cards on hand. After the tap, after the coin, he can tap. Reno. Suddenly he's in a really good position, and we still see why not have the York. This is like the board you want to play York against.
Yeah, second Moonfire though means that would have been an easy lethal if the Alex Straza had come down, but it still means that Hoej can try and continue to play for this sort of just Malygos burst. He has all the tools available. He just needs to try and push AKAWonder's health back down to a reasonable total.
Yeah, you kind of want to develop a giant here. The question is how you do it. Because like you can't swipe hero power. You could, I guess, just swipe and play a giant. You have the option to Moonfire and double giant.
I feel like you want all the bursts you can possibly get with Malygos though. I feel like using
I mean, you know you need to win board first. You know that you never have 30 damage. So like, since you know you never have the full OTK, maybe using Moonfire now, missing 6 damage might give you one attack with a giant, which is 8 damage.
That's true, yeah. It's all just about judging potential outcomes here, and Hoej's, again, just that the rope's going to start burning away, and he's just going to play the giant into Maya Keeper, so going wide on the board instead and just saying, well, you know, if you have, like, Twisted Nether, then fine, there's Power Overwhelming Shadow Flame that could cause some issues and clear the board out for AKAWonder here, but very specific answers that would deal with the giant, the 3-3 and the 2-2.
Yeah, so you probably see a power overwhelming on one of the smaller minions, attack to the face, Shadow Flame, attack the other one into the giant, and Mortal Coil it.
Yeah, the Mortal Coil actually means he doesn't have to use Reno. So
But maybe there's a play with a Murloc that I don't see, like just a 2 damage AoE. Like you could PO the Peddler, trade into the 8-8, attack your Scarab into the 3-3, and just do 2 damage AoE.
Yeah, and that you know, puts another minion onto the board as well, which is just going to help chip away the damage here onto the Druid.
That one leaves you with 3 mana left. 3 mana isn't what you want to have at this point. So I guess he goes for Shadow Flame to be more mana efficient.
Going to get a good amount of damage to Hoej here.
The other key would have been 1 more mana, so it means he can't play a 4-top. This way he can play either his Kodo or the Argus.
Okay, and again, Druid's have a bit of a tough time dealing with this board, unless he wants to, you know, start using the other spells he's got, like the Moonfires, that he's going to try and retain for the Malygos burst. He does have Gadget Zan as well, so he can get some cycle done. But it's what is he actually even trying to cycle into at this point? That's the issue. Like Yogg, is that like a realistic outcome to try and cycle into Yogg and then let him do his thing?
No, I think at this point he has to give up on the burst and just use Malygos as removal right now. I think he can't take more damage. So I would expect to see him play Malygos. I'm not sure if you play both Moonfires or 1 Moonfire and 1 Living Roots, but I'm pretty sure you clear the board here with York. I mean with Malygos. And if you get bored, that means you have time. Like he has to spend basically all his mana to remove Malygos. There's no like cheap removal for 4-12. So that would give you time to just play Auctioneer Wild Growth and draw your deck next turn.
Time waits for no one.
Yeah, it does actually open up a lot of options going forward, you're right. And yeah, that may be the play that Hoej's going to go for. As you said, you kind of have to quickly give up on the potential Malagos damage because the Warlock's still on 30, even though, yes, Ubrino's been used. You know, already on 30 with enough minions to start really pressuring Hoej's health. He's gone for at least a halfway in between option of killing one of the minions. Oh, he's actually getting Moonfire the other one as well. So he got the value from Malagos playing the roots to base just to get the extra damage in there while he could.
Yeah, this way you
And then held on to Malagos.
kind of threaten lethal just with like swipe or like maybe Raven Idol do another spell. So yeah, I like this play.
There is the Owl to silence Malagos though.
Yeah, but even then, a 412 is still decent. But
Do
is
you
it like is it like a
Excuse me.
faceless Soulfire play?
I was gonna say, do
But
you
it's
actually like Faceless on the Malagos here?
I do like it because you never need the full burst. Like just the Leroy Soulfire PO
At
Something
this
like
point
that
especially,
is
yeah.
probably enough. Also, you didn't get reduced on any combo pieces, so you never have managed to play faceless with that. So you don't need to save it. The question is, you don't need to silence it. Do you tap? Do you not tap? I think you tap, but then you would tap first.
Just going for the Soulfire
Oh.
base. I mean, to be fair, Malagos is now only hitting for 4. You know, the spell power has been negated by the Owl, which came from the Scarab early on as well. So a lot of pressure coming down, and that Malagos, even like forget about the spell power on AKAWonder's side. The Malagos is actually just a legitimate problem as it is now as a 412.
Yeah, I think I would like starting with the Innovate, because I think no matter what you would play the Innovate this turn. While there might be a way, like a scenario where you don't play Wild Growth. But
Let's get the Raven Idol. We're looking for what, mulch out of these Raven Idols, I guess.
yeah, maybe even Naturalize.
Yeah, anything to do with this Malagos, I would say. And they are not the options he was really looking for. Mark of the Wild could help at least with the
Body.
hit from the minion. But, you know, if there's not really too many of the spells you're worried about, you know,
Well,
with the Malagos
Hellfire.
spell power, right?
Hellfire is an issue.
Yeah.
So if you want to play on Hellfire, you'd have to play hero power. So if the Raven Idol picks up an Innovate, then you can Innovate hero power to get to 9 HP. So Hellfire wouldn't be lethal and taunt his minion. But now he's 1 mana off of the mulch, so now it's
Yeah.
too late. So I don't know. Maybe I kind of like Moonfire there.
Okay, he's going to taunt up this Malagos, which is now going to be a 6-14, which is kind of nuts in itself.
I'm waiting for no one.
There's no immediately good answer that AKAWonder has until we see his draw, of course. Imp Gang Boss not really going to do too much.
Like he has a chance to just win. Like if he picks up Hellfire, the game is just over. And Hoej knew he had to take that risk. Like he had no way to play around Hellfire. He tried. He played the second rival to find a way to play around it, but he just didn't get it. So yeah, he's just sitting there knowing he can't play around it, so walking into it instead and hoping for the best. And AKAWonder is like, it's very tempting to tap here. Like if this was later, you just tap first because you never want to miss
yeah,
lethal.
if you get it, you get it. Yeah.
Like you just want to have that game to end and be done with it. But realistically, your hand is kind of terrible if you only have 8 mana to use with it. Like you have 2 9-drops, but you can't really play them now. So
Yeah, and we can see as well, because the mulch was picked up, even if the taunt comes down, it doesn't change anything. He taps into Twisting Nether though, and that kind of just has to be the play, right?
yeah, not another play. Like it's not a great play because you kill your own Malagos, but
Yeah, but you remove like pretty much lethal from Hoej's side, so
like every time you're dead, your
Yeah.
opponent has so few cards in his deck that he can't have all his burst left or like all his damage spells.
so what you feeling here, Sixo?
So again, Hoej doesn't know there's no Leroy yet, so he might feel desperate enough to play York. I wouldn't be surprised, but he might also think that my best odds to win is just not playing on Leroy, hoping he doesn't have it. And so he needs Leroy and something else. Like he would need to have the second power overwhelming. He already saw one, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's just like an Emperor turn. He would cycle the Wild Growth and hero power probably along that.
Yeah, looks like Hoej is considering the Emperor. Just to let you guys know, that is a weird sort of spectate bug on the screen, but as you can see, it is Wild Growth and Emperor as the 2 cards on the right. So
He was
we'll keep you
hovering
updated
over
with
the
that.
Emperor, but I don't see why he would play Emperor first. Like if you play Emperor, you play the Wild Growth here. So don't quite understand why he keeps hovering over the Emperor first.
Time waits for no
Yeah,
one.
there's nothing else he could really even do with with any of the other cards he had. So the Wild Growth is going to come out first, which gives a pretty strong nod towards the Emperor follow-up. And Fandral gives him a few options for next turn at least. You know, he does have Wrath, Living Roots, and Nourish if he really wants for the following turn. So he could get some work done there, but he also has the potential of just dropping down Yogg or maybe even getting aggressive with Swipe next turn.
So AKAWonder had a chance to lethal this turn if he like throws either PO or Leroy and the taps on the other one, but it's very unlikely.
The menagerie is full.
Leaving an Emperor always feels bad. But at this point, you know your opponent is limited on cards in his deck. Like he doesn't have much left. He has no witches which he didn't play yet, so a lot of dead cards. So you just know the opponent gets to play all the cards he has. You just need to remove all of them and win on fatigue. So at this point, Emperor effect doesn't do that much, and you have no way to remove it anyway. Like you could, I guess you could Hellfire and play the Murloc, but that way you probably are just dead.
Really not a good turn
Nah.
in general. You're better off just building the board up, and as he said, dealing with whatever comes out from the Druid.
So how much damage is this? We
Building on
see
top of this.
Mulch is 2 mana, swipe Living Roots, that's 5 mana, so you could play the Arthur track with that. Then that is 5 plus 5 plus 3,
So-
so it's 1 damage of lethal.
Yeah.
He might be scared of just a PO, like might think that someone holds a PO but doesn't.
Oh, Fire Rage is a pretty nice pickup,
Oh,
actually.
so he knew his last card was Featherweight and just went for the lethal. That is actually, he did have lethal.
Yeah.
He only has 1 card left in his deck. That's very good awareness.
Very similar to the last series Hoej played in, where his last card was Moonfire for the sort of big lethal from Malygos as well. So looking pretty good. That was a really close game. A few huge swings. That Malygos with the Faceless as well, creating an awkward situation. But to be fair, AKAWonder did tap into the Twisted Nether, which kept him alive a little bit longer, but it just wasn't quite enough as Hoej managed to
It's a
close
skill
out
of
the
like
game.
very good players as Hoej is. It's like when you have like 2 or 3 cards left in your deck, you go through your deck. Like you imagine the deck list in your head. You're like, okay, start with Innervate. When did I play Innervate? At this one and this one. I played 2 Innervates. I'm done. Then you like Living Roots. Okay, Malygos played 1 Living Roots, and later on I do the one which I still have on hand. Then you go like through your whole deck and try to figure out what cards you have left. And he knew Featherweight is a card he doesn't have. He hasn't drawn the second copy of yet. So he knows he just gets that card guaranteed if he draws and has lethal.
Yeah, really good heads-up play by Hoej there. And that's actually quite difficult to do, even though you can see probably most of the day that the players have been taking notes in general. But also, sometimes you can't just literally write down every single card you've played. And even just the pressure of playing, you know, this is an elimination match, basically. The winner goes through to tomorrow. So even just the added pressure, just messing with your mind a little bit and making you forget about certain cards.
It's if you like somehow messed up and like it's not Featherweight, then you might just lose because you died fatigue, because you have the board right now. You can get the board other ways, and then if you have the board, you do threaten to win over a couple of turns. But since you're low on HP, like a Leroy into fatigue damage could kill you.
Yeah.
So like he does look very stupid if it's not a Featherweight.
It's definitely not something you want to do on stream, right? Just like, oh, my last card will win me. Oh, it's not the right card. Damn. But yeah, it's going to be Hoej taking the first game there with his Druid, and we just saw him come off the back of a Druid 3-0. Can he do it again? It's going to be Hoej on his Druid, of course. This is his last hero standing. This is AKAWonder on his Warrior.
And because he is Hoej, he already has a Wild Growth in his hand.
Of course, of course. It's a good Druid player.
He's trying to pick up Maya Keeper and
You called it. Okay, and what do you think how this matchup's going to go here? Is the Druid kind of struggles versus a lot of control warrior decks? Do you agree?
no.
Really?
I think that the matchup is very close. I don't know who I would give the edge to, but I think that it's kind of difficult for Druid to play. Like the way you usually play is you try to draw your deck very fast. They get way too much armor. You can't OTK them, but then you like try to play your Malygos first, and then your York, because like Malygos has a couple of spells, and then you try to get burst, and after you get the burst, you try to outvalue them with York, which is weird because usually you go for the value first and then for the burst. But in this matchup, you kind of do the other way around.
So you disagreed on with me on the Druid struggling this matchup, then followed up with it kind of relies on the Yogg.
I mean, you
Like,
can't just
come on.
you
come
can't
on.
say that 20 spell York isn't supposed to do stuff. Like
True.
the
True.
chances that you get added value to your deck, like any spell that adds cards to your hand without drawing them, like there's a really high chance to get at least 1 or 2 of them with
Yeah.
such a
okay.
big York. So like,
Okay. I can get on board with that a bit, I suppose, since it's U6. So yeah, we are going to see the Fireworks equipped. Nothing too crazy going on yet, and he has the option of playing Acolyte coming up as well. So he's just going to
that's
armor up.
interesting.
I guess just doesn't want the Acolyte to just die to Wrath for 1. Wants to maybe just guarantee multiple card draws.
But like if he leaves it up, if he plays it, he threatens to just like Plateau Eco and Ghoul it next turn. And it is like drawing 2 extra cards would be huge. So I think it's a too slow play to just do it like it's the only for turn 7.
And also as well, like something I would think about is that if the Druid Wraths your Acolyte, yeah, it sucks you only get 1 card, but also they've just spent like half their turn Wrathing an
like,
Acolyte.
you saw
so
him. But yeah, like you don't really expect anything to do to it with 2 mana.
Exactly,
After he
yeah.
already Wild Growth. So it's like if both players spend the whole turn, one on Acolyte, one on Res, and the one player draws a card, one doesn't, you just like get a free card. So like you take 1 damage with the hero your face.
Yeah,
but I mean,
but
that's not worth
you're
the card.
probably okay. You're probably okay with that at this point in the game, at least. Do see Yogg is already in Hoej's hands, so the overall game plan is coming together for him. But AKAWonder did guarantee at least the 2-card draw from the Acolyte by playing the Bloodtaker, and has a potential follow-up with Elise over the next couple of turns. He is starting to piece together some decent removal as well. Bash helps with putting together the big shield slams, and Slam itself is really nice just to cycle and then go into an execute on, say, one of the Arcane Giants.
If we don't see any hard removes, no brawl, no execute, no shield slam, so if he doesn't pick them up soon, Arcane Giants might be like a big issue for him to deal with. Since we see Hoej is going to be able to play a lot of spells the coming turns. I'm actually interested to see if he draws or ramps here. Because obviously on turn 6, it seems like you always draw, and against Warrior you're kind of tempted to draw because you have to outvalue them with like draw faster than they do, because if both fatigue you lose. So, but on the other hand, you usually want to ramp more often than not when you are holding an auctioneer on your hand, because
it gives you more room to actually cycle with the card later.
Like the 2 mana you have on auctioneer might just be a wild growth, which draws 3 cards by itself.
So AKAWonder's starting to build up the board on his side a little bit with the Elise coming down there. Slightly off curve, but not too much of an issue. The rest of his hand not looking too fantastic at the moment. Revenge not really what he was looking for yet, at least. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the Emperor here, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Hoej has approximately 1 million cards. And when you have that amount of cards, you normally feel like Emperor's a pretty strong turn, no matter what those cards are.
That play is very interesting, him playing the Raven Idol now. Because next turn he could play the Raven Idol for 0 mana with the Auctioneer. So it means he values getting the reduce on the new card, the 1 mana save, higher than a card draw. Which we see didn't pay off because the Moonfire is 0 mana anyway, but if you get like a Living Root, that might make a huge difference. So it's like, it's an interesting play, and he thinks he has enough card draw to not need one more, but
yeah, I feel like it's not an easy decision to make whether that was correct or not. It's more of like just a style choice of what you value yourself more.
So definitely is a correct play. Like there always is a correct play, but I couldn't tell if this was correct or if saving it was correct. Like.
Yep, so now the Emperor's going to have to be dealt with. But what this does is it opens up the option at least to use Slam and trade away. Excuse me, as I choke to death. He can use Slam to actually start to cycle in some of them the more important removal cards.
Yeah, if he slams, unless he picks up anything else, his turn would just be to attack with a weapon, re-weapon, and play a second War Axe, which seems like he's going to do. No, he does want to revenge. Okay, thinks he needs a cycle right now. I think the revenge was mainly just him knowing he needs hard removal for the Arcane Giants, because his hand right now can't kill a single giant. Which for Warrior is pretty crazy, because they have 2 brawls, 2 executes, 2 shield slams.
Yeah, and you know the Giants are probably coming pretty soon as well. This point in the game, after seeing Hoej draw so many cards,
Funny
and having
thing is,
this many cards in hand as well.
Usually, it takes like a lot of reduces or combo pieces to play Malygos the same turn as Swipe. But now he can do it on turn 8 already if he wanted to. He could play Malygos, Innervate Coin, Swipe Facey if he wanted to.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. And we see the first Arcane Giant come out now. 9 mana, so not too easy to play this in the next turn or so.
Yeah, but
he has so many options of.
You probably see a swipe here, I expect. Actually, saving a swipe for Malygos is very, very relevant. So he might go for the Maya Keeper. I think I like the Maya Keeper here. But anyway, my point is, next turn you will cycle with the Auctioneer, and then the Arcane Giant is like -5 mana.
Yeah. The Arcane Giant becomes very playable next turn if Auctioneer is the choice. And already Hoej's starting to put together quite a lot of damage that's available to him. And you look at AKAWonder's armor, it's only on 2 armor, 29 health, so it's not as if he's even been able to start stacking up the armor in preparation for turns like this.
It's like, oh, okay. Actually, since he used the swipe, the Innervate gets a lot less relevant, because once you use the swipe, you don't need have it for Malygos anymore. So he thinks, I have to use it, I can't leave the Acolyte up to set up for executes, so might as well just go for board now.
Yeah, it does draw into a Brawl and then got his Yogg as well. So again, just Brawl probably coming at the right time, as he needs to find a decent way to deal with this board at least, because you can't really just let Druid beat you down with regular minions, because then you've got a much higher chance of just getting killed by Malygos.
Could remove the board with like, or besides the 2/2 with just a slam and a bash. But I guess there are a lot of scenarios in this matchup where Brawl is just not a good card, so you want to get value
Yeah.
out of it while you can.
Yeah, I think because the brawl was always going to be at least decent there, you just may as well play it. You can still armor up afterwards and slot it in that
I
turn
expect
pretty
him to
easily.
cycle the coin every time, because like cycling the coin is always decent. Sure, it might remove some Malygos combos, but just like you will play it anyway at some point to reduce your Arcane Giants. You might as well do it while you have the Auctioneer. Pretty sure you go for 4 attack.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's really unlucky for him. Not getting anything to do with 3 mana.
Yeah, has managed to push for 5 damage though, dropping AKAWonder to 23 this turn, and has the Gadget Zone on the board, which, although in terms of health, not too difficult to deal with a lot of the time, it does require an answer, and we've seen so far, or at least Hoej has seen so far, that AKAWonder's never had great answers to any threat he's put on the board.
I think if Hoej tried really hard, he could draw the rest of his deck within 3 turns at this point. If he really wanted to draw with York, draw with Nourish. So, and once he draws full deck, he has the Reducer on Malygos and he has both Living Roots left. So that is a 26 damage burst, which he can go for in the relative near future.
Yeah, and especially if you're playing Yogg first, then the likelihood that you might have done some extra damage as well to the warrior to just sort of pressure a bit more, so suddenly that damage becomes even more insane.
Oh, I just realized we didn't see any Moonfires yet, right?
No, he has one more Moonfire,
yeah,
right?
and he didn't play any,
He
so he has
3
like
Moonfires.
1 Moonfire and 2 Living Roots left in his deck. So
Yeah.
if he draws, that would be a 32 damage burst.
Not too shabby. Even versus warrior, not too shabby at all.
And
He has
Rainhead
managed
is
to
like
keep it
very,
out
very
of there.
welcome. You want to get more cheap spells and you want to reduce both your Arcane Giants. Like, you just pick the right course.
Yeah, just a cycle.
I mean, it saves you 2 mana because it costs 2 mana, but it reduces your Arcane Giants for 4 mana. So like, Wild Course actually still ramps you.
Yeah, which is an odd thing to see, but the joy of Arcane Giants.
So I'd expect him to like nourish you into double Arcane Giant. Draw 3 more cards, play 2 8
Why
8s
not?
for 7 mana. I mean,
Why not? Seems like a pretty reasonable turn to me.
maybe even use the rest the same turn if he draws it. Because the rest basically becomes 0 mana.
There's Living Roots.
There's
There's
Moonfire.
Moonfire number 3. And even a Foul Rage as well.
In fact, that was kind of anticlimactic. Should have drawn the last Living Roots instead of the Feral Rage there.
Yeah, that would have been pretty insane. You just look at that hand and, pretty happy if you're Hoej. And
But-
probably going to cry if you're AKAWonder soon.
Okay, so do you have to face tank one of the giants to remove it? You no, you have Slam Bash,
Yeah.
Trader 3/3, and Chisler. But that way you spend 6 mana and can't play any minion. I guess you have to go for it though.
Yeah, you just can't take the 16. Or you can't even really take the 8 on this
I mean,
kind of health.
you would never take 16. You would just take 8.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
Still, like, yeah, it's like but what do you have left after that? You have a War Axe, a Sylvanas, a Portal, York. I guess you can York next turn if your opponent plays a new board. So that's really helping because you don't want to have like no removal left and just have to play your own minions against Jewel's minions and just take 20 damage instead next turn or whatever. It's not 20, but it's just an Azure next turn.
Yeah,
is
a large
huge.
amount of damage.
So
Gonna start off with the slam. See what he gets off the top there. Gorehowl. Not gonna help him too much this turn at least, as he pretty much had the turn locked in regardless, unless maybe an execute was drawn. That would change a couple of things. But
he goes to 33 HP. So even if you see Moonfire, I think it's 1 damage off. I mean, second Living Roots off the top, it would still be 1 damage off. But it is 1 damage off. He can Azure Drake, Feral Rage, plus 4 attack, Hero Power, and just set up for next turn. So let's count again. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage from the spells. It's 5 spells, so 25. So 7 plus 25 is 32. He doesn't have any mana left for Hero Power. So yeah, it is 1 damage off, but I'm pretty sure it's the Azure Drake, Feral Rage, Hero Power.
yeah, you
Though
definitely.
I wouldn't hate just going in now, like just getting him to 1 HP, because next turn you have the York.
Yeah, that's true.
It also keeps your opponent from playing as York, because at 1 HP if you play York, you're probably dead.
Yeah,
So
the,
yeah.
the odds are pretty high on actually just dying if you try and risk the Yogg on 1 HP. So I agree. I like the Azure Drake. There's no need to rush it when you have this kind of damage
I
in
think
hand.
both plays are very good. It's like, I think there's one of the plays that's like, it's like a lot better, but I don't know which. But I think like, it's both ways are like very good, but play on different cards. I think there's like, you can figure out what cards your opponent is less likely to have and what's harder for him to answer. But both plays are leaving him in a very favorable position, so I don't mind either.
Yeah, this feels safe as well because this means that your opponent has to deal with his Azure Drake after just using so much removal onto the 2 8/8s. And then, the odds on him dealing with the Drake, pushing himself past that kind of health, and doing everything else in one turn is actually pretty low
Is
unless
there any
unless
thought
Yogg
that could
comes
save
down.
him? because a taunt wouldn't be enough because that's the spell damage. I mean, he doesn't even need the Azure Drake, so like,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any portal minion that saves him. Wait, he goes to 28, 23, 33 plus 0 power 35. So yeah, if he doesn't remove the Azure Drake, even a taunt is enough. So he would need some kind of touch. So I guess Korkon Elite is an out. He would need exactly Korkon Elite or is there anything else that denies lethal
I
here?
don't think there's anything else. I mean, Yogg could deny lethal.
Yeah, but like, if he doesn't go for Yogg,
but
like,
yeah.
just like options.
It is going to
But-
be Yogg though. And this is going to be the last-ditch attempt, as at least we can see, to actually even stay alive. Curse of Farm doesn't do too much.
In first, like, yeah, I tried. He had Yogg. Nothing I could do.
Okay, none of this being turn path. He needs a way to really up his health more than anything. Just clear off the Azure Drake, but as we said, it doesn't matter too much, especially because it means that you cannot armor up, and that's going to be it.
Yep.
That is a hell of a lot of damage coming out from this Malagos.
You even get innovate if you got that last turn. No, actually, no, you drew the Living Woods last turn, right?
Yeah, you just innovate for hero power for fun now, right?
I think you innovate the Cursed. Get rid of it.
Just to get it out. Yeah, you don't want to win with that in hand.
You don't want to take 2 damage a turn even when the game is over.
See AKAWonder's expression as he starts to realize. Oh, he's already seen the 3 Moonfires now, right? So another brutal, like, brutal destruction here from Hoej's Malagos as it just burst the warrior down from pretty near his damage full health.
Would you say Malagos created a strategy that revolved around killing your opponent from a very high HP total and is not very fun and interactive?
I mean, Hoej did have to use Raven Idol as well to get the other Moonfire, so it required some form of setup at least, and we see AKAWonder obviously not too very happy at that.
Yeah, I mean, even
that
though
loss.
the deck is not that easy to play, you need to set up it correctly, but it's like, it feels kind of uninteractive because, yeah, you play the Raven Idols, have to figure out if you need direct burst or if you need draw first to get your more burst and stuff, but your opponent doesn't do anything while you play Raven Idol. So
I guess so, but at least, I'm going to say with this Druid deck, it is very decision heavy. Like, almost every turn, it feels like if you mess up a turn, you can be punished for it quite heavily.
yes,
you
I
don't,
agree.
if
Like,
you
I
don't
think
use your
in
resources
the current
to the
meta, it
maximum.
might be the hardest, like, one of the best decks. That's like the hardest to play.
Well, the most like
you
raw
can't say-
skill-based decks,
yeah, you can't
I
say
guess.
the most skillful deck because someone will just bring up some bad deck that like requires extreme decision making,
Yeah,
but is still bad. But like of the good decks, it might be the hardest deck to play right now.
yeah. I think it can be very punishing if you mess up, actually.
I don't think we've seen AKAWonder's Mage so far, so Hoej doesn't know it's Freeze Mage. We have actually, I think, played against AKAWonder in a tournament just 2 days ago in a team tournament, and in that, AKAWonder was playing Tempo Mage, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So Hoej will not expect this Freeze Mage.
So we'll see how he needs to deal with this. How have you played this matchup often?
I mean, you don't play against that many Freeze Mages, but I think it's like around, let's go 96% for the Druid.
Oh, really?
It's like having Moonclade Portal, 2 Feral Rages, while also pressuring them. Like just the armor, like just 6 health and 12 or 16 armor might not be enough, but the fact that you can also pressure them and they can't ever kill Malagos.
Yeah.
Makes
And also
the-
the potential of Raven Idol to just give an additional Feral Rage or something like that, just to really push the game out. So we are going to see Hoej take a different approach now and actually just go for the Living Roots. I think this is the first time we've seen someone play Living Roots with this deck turn
Like,
1.
like he knows he can, if he gets some sort of pressure, so AKAWonder can just like hero power pass, wait for like the ultimate Emperor combo. Unless there's some, as long as there's some
So-
kind of pressure, his opponent has to use Spelter's removal, and then he can outlast him. So it's like just using it for tempo is good.
based on that turn 1 play, do you think Hoej knows it's Freeze Mage then versus Tempo? Or do you think that he would have done that regardless?
Against Tempo Mage, you always do that because
Okay.
you have Wild Growth next turn, you can't play it next turn, and you don't want to have him maybe coin a 2-drop, and then you like play Wild Growth while he attacks your face for 1,000,000 damage because all the 3/2s Mage have snowball very fast.
Yeah, we saw Hoej do a slight frown then when he saw the Doomsayer come out, so maybe that was a nod to him not thinking it was going to be Freeze Mage. So.
Yeah, but he's very happy about this. Like his hand isn't even that good against Tempo Mage.
Oh yeah, I mean his
It's,
hand just looks too slow in general anyway. Other than the Living Roots and Swipe can help out, but by this point, like Tempo Mage could have actually just pushed out quite a lot. Of
I would
damage.
say Druid is favored against Tempo Mage, but it's a relatively close matchup where this just isn't. So Hoej can't be upset about this.
Okay, in before Hoej loses,
I mean,
this 96%.
I mean,
match.
96 was like a little over stuff, but it's like, I'd say it's definitely over 80%, and see that AKAWonder plays Antonidas, so probably with Barnes. I don't know if it's like some cheesy Barnes deck or not, but yeah, I haven't played against Antonidas much because people tend to play the torch list.
Yeah. It's definitely the more popular list, right? The torch list. But we see Hoya did get the nourish just on time in time for turn 5 there, and did just use it for the cycle to really start to fill up his hand and give him those options as you
If
mentioned
he
earlier.
wasn't holding the Emperor, he would have went for the ramp. But since you go for Emperor, your card is so cheap. Your cards get so cheap, and then like you don't need more
Even
mana.
just hits Malagos for more fun. Not like you said. There's other options to win this game without Malagos, but reducing it down to 8 is just an extra added benefit now. Gonna see the Fireball used to clear up the Emperor, not a minion as always that you can just leave up, and starts to put on a little bit of pressure with these couple of small minions here, the Loot Horde and the Engineer, but not gonna be too much of a problem for Hoy at this moment in time.
So I wouldn't hate on just an Auctioneer, Rest for 1 and Wild Growth, value towards 3 cards. You still have 8 cards at the end of your turn. Next turn you start with 9 mana. On the other hand, you might also want to save the rest just to use it as a removal after you play Muddy Ghost. So
Yeah, 'cause that's something we've not really touched on too much either, where like Malagos is almost just unkillable for a freeze mage.
Yeah,
You know,
like
it's a
Muddy
it's
Ghost and
almost
swipe
just-
gets like he can save swipe just for 9 damage to the face. Like
yeah, because you're
Malagos
pretty
isn't
confident
gonna die.
Malagos will just not die
if
at
he
all.
uses 2 burn spells and your Muddy Ghost just fair rage for armor, they concede.
Yeah.
But considering the rest is also really good, like Muddy Ghost rest can always kill Doomsayer or anything. I wouldn't hate him just play a swipe and the Maya Keeper here. Clears the board, deals 4 damage to face, and develops his own board.
Yeah, because you know the thing with like swipe is always nice to try and hit through a ice barrier if it's the last secret to finish the game, but Hoy's not running short of spell damage. You know, spells in this deck that can actually do the damage to finish off. You know, after say an ice
It's the
block
way-
proc anyway. So
The way to it wins is just by like getting too much armor for like Mage to deal with. Like the
Yeah.
only way for Mage to get close to enough damage is like putting up way too much pressure and then just like dying way too fast. So I don't think that proccing the iceberg itself is that relevant. Like I don't think an extra turn makes much of a difference. I
Yeah.
think it's just like not having enough bird in hand and not having enough mana to play your hand.
okay, so we do see a torch in AKAWonder's hands. So he's playing at least one.
Yeah,
in
the
this
interesting
list.
part here is that we see Hoy not go for the token, but instead go for ramp, which obviously is because he has the auctioneer. But it's interesting. But it's also 1 turn sooner he can play auctioneer Wild Growth and just throw a
Yeah,
stack.
and also this gives him the option of actually Malagos Wrath if he really wanted to
So
this turn. Not that he's in any particular rush, but
yeah, like
okay.
it's because no, it doesn't get removed. So
yeah,
every turn it's 4 damage by itself plus a spell damage.
yeah. Plus the potential spell damage. So
You don't really want to play the Moonlight Portal yet because you want to heal after you get Alex Treasured. So
yeah, Hoy just
So-
hovering with the Malagos. But as you said, like, what does the mage do to
I
really
think you
kill it?
cycle the rest first. Because I don't think you need it anymore. Because swipe moves everything
Yeah,
anyway.
the
So-
follow up is guaranteed, right?
Yeah, I
Because
don't
you
think
have
you-
the swipe to kill any minion that's played next turn.
So I don't think there's a point in saving it. And the spell damage just do it. So you don't play that. I disagree with this play because I don't think the Maligos ever dies. But sure. No, but I really disagree with it. Like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I mean,
ask it because
I suppose the thing is, he's not really afraid of the 1/1, and Wrath's just another card he can use with gadgets and cycle
no, but
if he really
once you have
needs to.
Maligos on board, you never run out of damage or like especially you remove it because Mage doesn't play many minions you have to rest for. And so Mage's win condition is to cheese out a win now before he armor. So why take a damage more every turn?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think AKAWonder will get close to enough damage in time. Like I'm not
Yeah, I
saying
mean, it's
gonna-
not going to ruin the game,
Yeah,
of
I
course,
just,
but it's,
like-
it's a different line of play that you don't particularly agree with. But it still looks like Hoy's in a very, very favourable position here. As we say, just look at the options. It's just Malagos sat there, and there's just nothing AKAWonder can do about it at all.
Yeah, Hoy was like holding most of the cards in his hand for like the whole game, but he didn't draw a second copy of Living Wood and didn't draw any Moonfire, and only 1 copy of Swipe. So like, AKAWonder expects a lot more burst than Hoy actually has, but
Yeah.
just the threat of the burst making him play Ice Block here, I mean Ice Barrier, is already good enough. You don't need to have it.
Yeah, and as we can see, it's more the opposite end of the scale, where Hoy has all like the utility and the cycle, as opposed to all of the burn instead. So Hoy's probably going to feel pretty good about his situation now. He can foul rage if he really wants to at this moment, but Imagine we are going to see Gadgetzan regardless,
So this
just
is where
because
you-
why not use the cycle?
This is where you see you have 10 mana, so you know the game is very late, and you have to count your opponent's damage and think about healing up. Then you realize you're a druid and having 10 mana is just because you play unfair, and your opponent actually only has 8 mana, so you are safe and can just
Yeah,
draw
so
your deck
pretty much
instead.
whatever you want.
Play White Grows,
And
and,
and-
oh, that's a really good card.
Yeah,
Can swipe and Living Root's face now.
It's it's only getting worse for AKAWonder because now there's Malygos and the Gadgetzan on the board he needs to think about, and this could just be the beginning of the end at this point.
So that would be a 6-0 for Hoej with Druid in the last 2 matches.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Would you
Very
say Druid is a
impressive.
good deck?
Apparently so. Some, I've heard it's a reasonable deck at least. I'm starting to see now why there's a lot more players than at least I expected were picking it first in this format. Because the sort of natural field go-to are like the Shaman or the Warrior first pick.
I think
But
it's
Druid
Druid or
seems to be
Shaman.
performing
Shaman.
super
I
well.
said Shaman, not like this.
Yes, there's 6-0 added to the Shaman list. We got him. It is late. It's been a long day, but I'm still taking it. So, is there even an option here? I don't think so. There's nothing that AKAWonder can really do to pull this game out of the bag.
You know you have to remove the auctioneer because with the auctioneer up, you know your opponent can guarantee draw into more spells and that's easily guaranteed. Like there's not a single composition of hand Hoej could have where he can't draw burst if you leave the Emperor, if you leave the auctioneer up. So you need to hope he has a very bad hand and kill the auctioneer. But you
You
don't
need
really
to hope for quite a lot, I think, if
but
you're
you don't
AKAWonder.
have a
here.
way to kill the auctioneer while playing your Interniders. So you can't set up anything. So
Yeah, all AKAWonder's doing here is really just holding on, but it's only a matter of time. I mean, just the sheer size of Hoy's hand is enough to really put fear into you.
Yeah,
'Cause
like-
you just know he's got every option he could want.
if you're
at this
AKAWonder,
point.
you know you're in a bad enough position to like have to hope for the very best RNG. So you basically look at your opponent's cards in the stack. So you know there are this many cards left. So you try to figure out what are the worst 9 cards your opponent could hold at this point. And if he has exactly those 9 cards, how can I win?
Yeah.
But even then, there's no way.
Yeah, even then, it's still insanely difficult, almost impossible.
I would go with impossible. I don't think there's a single composition of our hand that would do it. I think you start with a feral rage here, but actually no, then you proc him too high. So you swipe, then you feral rage his face, and then you reverse last, I guess. You feral rage first because if it's ice barrier, you don't want to be stuck in playing the Wrath removal. You want to try to find more damage then.
Yeah, and even now we just see this just escalate out of control as he can even just drop double Arcane Giants if he really wants. He's got Moonglade Portal as well.
You want to think
Just
if
to
he
heal
wants
back
feral
up.
rage's armor just to like
To
be more
really seal
safe.
the deal, yeah.
It actually goes for it. I think that you could just do it next turn because you can guarantee to run to the second feral rage and heal for 6 with your portal next turn. But just doing it now is also fine.
Oh.
So, how do you want to make your opponent concede? By blocking his ice block or just by getting 16 armor?
I like the more aggressive approach, so I would go for proccing the Ice Block personally. But I don't think it matters in the long run, to be honest. But yeah, I like the Smoke approach. Why not? And it just doesn't matter at this point, does it? I mean, Hoy still has 1,000 cards in hand. He plays just double Giant, because why not? And yeah, AKAWonder, I'm surprised he's not been a concede yet.
Coin York.
It could happen. There could be Yogg. It wouldn't surprise me from AKAWonder if there's just a
AKAWonder
mystery Yogg in the
Didn't even
deck.
play that many spells so far. It's weird because he's Freeze Mage, but he didn't play any Arcane Intellects.
I think he played one, right?
Did he?
Yeah, I think he played one. But he has played a lot of minions. You know, we've seen the two gnomes,
So
Novice
let's say it's
Engineer,
like
and the
7 or
Loot
8
Order.
spells. Like the chance that like a 8 spell York would do anything here is elsewhere.
Pyro, 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 all to face to finish the game. That would be kind of nuts. But AKAWonder, you know, to be fair, his tournament life is on the line. He's just going to sit and think about every single smallest chance he has to stay in
He
the
has
game.
zero
And there's
counter
no
on his
reason
hand.
not to.
There's 0 card on the hand. That has no way to like play for a top deck ice block or anything, so he just knows he has to go for it. He knows that there's
Yeah.
no
and
way.
again, this Malygos, as predicted, has just sat on the board all game, completely uncontested here. So looking pretty good overall. And Hoy takes his second 3-0 in a row with this Druid deck. And you know, that is a very, very scary thought. Wouldn't be surprised if Druid starts getting banned against Hoy if he keeps up with this.
We have seen so far, I think, 3 3-0s with the Druid, with the Malygos. Hoy had made it twice, right? And God damn it. Someone else was playing it like as well.
But the issue is that when you made your decks, you already calculated your first ban. You know the opponent
Mhm.
will never be able to play Shaman, for example, if you
Yeah.
go with Shaman bans. You put up your mulch and Druid. You like take all your decks not against Shaman. So like now changing your ban means you're probably very weak to Shaman. So you might still have to ban it if that was your strategy going into this tournament.
Sure, that's a valid point. It's a complicated format for the players to change kinda afterward, as I said, right? Let's say you go into Conquest, you don't really care about the ban because the decks still need to win with each, right? But in this format, when you design the whole lineup to do a specific thing, and then you tailor the decks to have a specific matchups, then it might be problematic. But it seems like the MVP so far of day one is Malagos and Arcan Giants, I would say, right? What do you guys think?
And Yogg, however much we want
I
to
want to
call
avoid.
Yogg MVP,
I really want to
but
avoid.
Yogg's done a lot of work, whether we like it
yeah.
or not, I guess.
I really want to avoid saying Yogg. And Hoey, we have here I think the last guy that will advance to day two. Congrats,
thanks.
right? How did the game go for you? Right? This was kind of crazy.
I think it went better this series compared to the last series. I'm not sure. It's like I felt I did the most the right thing. It's like it's a really hard matchup, the Druid against the Boya, because you're on the clock and you don't have that many minions. So I'm not
Okay,
sure.
but
So how do you feel the first game? Like when you know that like Leroy PO would kill you at like a lot of points.
Oh,
So
yeah.
did you think he has it?
No, but yeah, I guess I knew he had PO right. So maybe do you want to Yogg that?
No, not disagreeing with the play. Just want to know how scared you were. At
That
this
was a
point.
little scared, but it's like.
Like, do you think he
More
has it?
scared, but it's like so unlikely for me to kill him with Yogg. I feel like there's no board at full 15 HP. I don't know. Yeah.
As I said, I don't disagree with the play. I just want to know how much
Yeah,
of a fussy you were at that point.
yeah, no.
Okay.
Well, on the back of the Druid, you went 6-0 actually, right? And
Yeah, with
you have
Druid.
6-0 just sitting near you. Maybe
Nice.
that's a lucky charm for you.
So
Coincidence,
who
I
made
think,
you
then?
play that Druid and who do you want to credit to like help you play it?
I wonder.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Surrender for helping me practice with this deck for this tournament. So.
Yeah, that's
guys,
slight
surrender.
BM, I guess.
Good guys.
But I had to say that your play in this match was seemed to be more consistent
Yeah.
than in the previous match. So cool stuff. Especially I think it was more mechanic based when it comes to decision. What played faster, right? You
Exactly.
weren't waiting for this to rope to appear and then
Yeah, you
try
have
to discover
yeah,
cards.
You have to
right?
get used to play fast when you.
Need
Yeah.
that Hearthstone APM.
Exactly.
Okay, you need to go quick.
Okay, well, you advance to the top 8, and top 8 tomorrow will actually play double elimination again. This is the first time since I think like a really long time we have seen a playoff system with a double elimination, and we have Life Coach, we have Hoey, we have Super JJ, we have Tessin, we have Sixo, who also advanced. We have
Other players.
other players, Stan Sivka, and who else? Who did I miss?
Did you say Crane? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Crane.
Yeah, Crane. And the first game tomorrow will be actually Crane versus Super JJ. So I guess we start really early as well. The same time as today, so 10 a.m. local time. We are GMT +2 here, and that's basically it. Let's wrap up for day one. Thank you very much, Hoey. Thank you very much, Sixo. Thank you very much, Raven, and in name of Nimsh as well. It's somewhere in the back.
Thank you, Lothar, as well.
Thank you to myself as well. Thank you. And we'll see each other tomorrow for another Hearthstone matches, hopefully not decided by Yogg.